What's up guys, in this video let's have a look at the full review of the Lenovo K8 Note and help you make a purchase decision between the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4 and the K8 Note. Starting with the hardware and design, on picking up the phone for the first time, it didn't feel heavy enough even though it does have some weight to it, which suggests good structural durability. Even though it has kind of a generic industrial look from the front, the design is clean cut and feels premium to look and hold, with the curve all around the metallic back with a dual camera and dual tone LED flash setup. There is a dedicated music button on the left, which is one of my favorite features. That is because it can be mapped to open any app of a choice, unlike Xiaomi's Bixby, and it does make stuff convenient. Our taste in picture quality is subjective and differs from person to person. So let's have a look at some camera samples so that you can judge the camera quality for yourself. The camera quality I feel is just okayish, ranging from average to above average. It is not as good as say a Samsung Galaxy J7 Pro or Max, which also falls in the budget range. The pictures have good dynamic range but isn't sharp enough with average clarity and colors. But a good thing is that you can get some impressive background blur effects with the depth field enabled, as you can see. The 1080p IPS display is protected with 2.5D glass, but there is no mention of Gorilla Glass. The display quality is very impressive with images, video and text looking sharp with close to natural colors. It is one of the better quality displays compared to others in the budget range. Visibility under broad daylight conditions was also not an issue with the adaptive brightness feature turned on. But you do have to go all the way inside display settings to turn it on, which can be inconvenient. Gaming with the combination of the Helio X23 chipset and the Mali T880 GPU was mostly lag-free, though it did get a bit warm near the camera at about 41 degrees battery temperature. But there was some occasional throttling going on while playing online multiplayer games in Asphalt 8, which resulted in some skipped frames. As far as general performance goes, as expected with the totally stock Android user interface, I have not yet come across any major lag during normal browsing or while using apps. Overall, the experience is smooth and snappy with minimal lag and good RAM management with multiple apps open at the same time and no reloading. Also for those interested in benchmark scores, it has a very respectable AnTuTu score of 82,853, which is much higher than the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4 with the competent Snapdragon 625 processor. The presence of notification LED, FM radio, Dolby Atmos and Smart Lock security features, which also includes facial recognition, all add to the pros list of the Lenovo K8 Note. Starting with the cons, make sure to install any software updates if available, because in my case when I started using the camera without installing the updates, the battery temperature went up to an unbearable 46 degrees. Of course, this issue did get solved after installing the update. The huge 4000 mAh battery in moderate usage could just last for a day on a single charge. I could get a maximum screen on time of only 4 hours and 25 minutes in moderate usage. It seems the K8 Note desperately needs some OTA updates to improve and make use of the large battery to its full potential. The fingerprint unlock works for the most part, but it isn't the fastest or the most stable, and at times simply refuses to work and seems like a bug. There is a slight camera hum present, so it will be a good idea to use the free transparent case provided. Next is the absence of backlight capacitive keys, which totally will remind us of Xiaomi. Luckily, most of the other basic sensors are present on this device. Next, coming to the audio quality via the 3.5mm headphone jack, it gives off prominent bass with a bass enhancer effect, decent mid-frequency response which is good for watching videos. But when it comes to music, the highs are pretty disappointing. Even after turning the treble all the way up through the equalizers, the sound was still on the flatter side. It's nowhere as good as the audio quality of MIUI found on Xiaomi devices, at least as far as music is concerned. It seems that the K8 Note can do with some improvements regarding software optimization in the form of updates, like in the battery and gaming department. Until then, all the Redmi Note 4 users need not fret because they are holding a well-optimized phone as compared to the K8 Note. The camera quality in both phones are almost similar, not the greatest and sharpest, above average at best with some differences only in color and brightness. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 4 holds the edge in battery life, gaming and software optimization, whereas the Lenovo K8 Note has a better quality display with better sunlight legibility and a decent portrait mode feature in its dual camera setup. Stay tuned for more on the Lenovo K8 Note like the bend and splash durability tests. Make sure to press like, the free subscribe button and the bell icon. Thanks for watching, keep the peace, catch you next time.